Arsenal are back! Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another video. Yes, today's video is going to centre around this club right here, Arsenal Football Club, that have been on a bit of a resurgence and a resurrection in recent games. The international break has seemingly been so kind to Arsenal that it's allowed their players to get back to fitness, their squad to fully refocus, and for the good football to be back at Arsenal once again. The performances have been better. They have been a lot more positive. The free-flowing football has been liquid gold at times, and the results have been all positive since that international break. And it seems that despite being 9 points away from the current league leaders Liverpool, the chase is very much on for the Gunners, and they're going to try and put up as much of a fight and try to apply as much pressure onto the Reds as they possibly can. We're going to be talking about Arsenal, the resurgence, the resurrection in recent weeks. But before we go any further in discussing all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And obviously get involved in the comment section. I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. That will make for great interesting reading, I'm sure, on this video, on this topic. So please do get involved. We'd love to hear from you all. Use and abuse that comment section, people. Talk to me on this. Right, now that that's out of the way and done with, let's talk Arsenal. Let's talk the resurrection of the Gunners in recent games. Safe to say, Arsenal's season and expectation was to obviously win the Premier League title after coming so close in the past couple of seasons. This was seemingly going to be the year that Arsenal had finally done it. They had a promising transfer window that wasn't quite at full 100% capacity, but a lot of people were still, including myself of course, was somewhat expecting Arsenal to kick on and to pick up from where they left off, and to obviously add the experience to their ranks, and not only that, but to add a couple more key players to their ranks as well. The experience and the know-how of Raheem Sterling being one, a young promising left-back / left centre-back in Calafiori being another, and a key man in the middle of the park, a DM, a battler in Mikel Merino. Add that to, of course, what you already have at Arsenal, a solid, watertight defence, which is obviously got at its heart the likes of William Saliba and Gabriel. A midfield which is strong and can rotate in the likes of Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, and of course a forward line which has Martin Odegaard pulling the strings, Bukayo Saka chipping in with goals and assists aplenty, as well as, you know, the likes of Leandro Trossard, Gabriel Martinelli chipping in every now and again, and of course Kai Havertz really turning heads and obviously putting a lot of people wrong since his big money move from Chelsea to Arsenal a couple of seasons ago. You were kind of anticipating and expecting that Arsenal would go on to be further along than where they currently are right now. And a lot of Arsenal fans will probably turn around and say this has a lot to do with referee decisions and VAR calls that have gone against them. I would argue they weren't exactly against you. They were just used inconsistently and you just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I can somewhat agree with that sentiment, but at the same time, I also think a lot has been left to be desired with certain performances this season. And again, Arsenal fans may turn around and go, but we've had injuries, and you know, you've had a couple of key injuries, a couple of key players, but you know, we all have injuries. We've all dealt with a lot of squad players' injuries. And apart from maybe Martin Odegaard and maybe Saka for about a week or two being injured and not being in the squad, I don't really know what you got to moan about in terms of the injury front. Everybody has to deal with them. Everybody's had to deal with key injuries. Liverpool have even had to deal with a couple of key injuries to certain players this season, but no one writes about it because Liverpool were getting the results and still getting performances out of them. So, just sounds like a bit of excuses, a bit of an abundance of excuses from certain Arsenal fans that are obviously moaning about that. Whereas really they should be pinpointing the manager and the performances for certain results, like Bournemouth as a prime example. But it's safe to say that before the international break, the performances were sort of dipping. the creative influence of Arsenal was not as sharp in the attacking third as what it had been. A lot of that was down to, obviously, Odegaard's absence. Maybe even not playing a youngster in Ethan Nwaneri, who, of course, was being touted as having a breakthrough season and was obviously got a lot of support from a lot of Arsenal fans that were begging Mikel Arteta to play him. And it just seemed at the time like Arteta wasn't fully trusting of him, fully wasn't trusting of the rest of his squad. And when he did have a main 11, he tried to stick to it as best that he could. And he wasn't really prepared to dive into his squad and try and use his squad and exhaust his squad to the best of its ability. Which is why it led to what a lot of people kind of referred to it as terrorism football. A lot of defensive football, trying to be super defensive, not really trying to put on the attacking front. And that's what led, seemingly, to Arsenal dropping a lot of points these past few weeks. Now, of course, since the international break, Martin Odegaard's back, Bukayo Saka's back to full fitness, and Arsenal have liftoff. Arsenal have been resurrected. Arsenal have reignited themselves with the performances that they've been given. A win last week against Nottingham Forest. Forest have been going strong this season. They have been solid defensively. They've also been getting quite a few goals themselves. But Arsenal absolutely destroyed them. Midweek against Sporting Lisbon. Okay, this was a Sporting Lisbon side that are still finding their feet a little bit since the departure of their regular manager, but that was still not an easy place to go, especially away from home. They absolutely destroyed Sporting Lisbon and did that pretty comfortably. And then this past weekend, they absolutely destroyed West Ham. A minor blip in the first half, but they absolutely destroyed West Ham. 5-2, heaping more pressure on Julian Lopetegui's side, but also making the statement that, yes, West Ham may be terrible this season, and we have to beat what's in front of us. But you know what? When we've got our squad and when we're firing on all cylinders, we are still that side that many people doubted we were a few short weeks ago. Look, is it maybe being a bit premature? Are we basically saying that Arsenal are completely back? Not necessarily. There are still obviously plenty more trials and tribulations for Arsenal to navigate through, and there are still obviously obstacles for them to overcome. There are still obviously big tests for them on the horizon. They've obviously still got to navigate through, as everybody has, a difficult period of games where it's basically game after game after game after game. There's a lot to work on there. There's a lot to work on with other things, mental aspects of the players continuing to fight for a Premier League title and continue to go for that. And having that mental block be removed in order to obviously go on and go that one step further than what they have done in previous years. There's a lot there. There is a lot there for Arsenal to unpack and to see if they can get beyond. As there is for other clubs that obviously have their own kind of issues and things to overcome. But of course, here we are talking about Arsenal. We're talking about a side that has obviously been very close to winning the Premier League title in the past couple of years, but not quite got over that last hurdle to cross that finish line. What we have got here is an Arsenal side that have been through a bad dip in form, seemingly resurrected themselves, and now you might argue that with the way that Liverpool are going, they may have to be perfect or as good as perfect to even put up some sort of title challenge between now and the end of the season. But if they keep their players fit, if they have the rub of the green, a lot of luck with their injury concerns, there's no doubt about it that this Arsenal side can continue to go. They can go again. They can challenge again. They can put pressure on Liverpool week in, week out, game in, game out. There's no doubt about it. But it's about those obstacles. It's about those big games. It's about the games that they're expected to win that sometimes they stumble up a little bit on. It's about whether or not they can beat the big games, whether or not they can hold their nerve in the key ones. And if they are to, again, have another bad result, do they have the capacity to bounce back again? That's going to be really telling as well. So, look, Odegaard returning is brilliant. They were still creating chances even without Odegaard, so I'm not going to sit here and say that this is all on the shoulders of Martin Odegaard, because that would be similarly for me saying that all of City's problems are because Rodri's not there. That's not the case, and neither was this the case of Odegaard not being there either. Yes, Odegaard is a fantastic asset to have, and he is an absolute orchestrator and conductor when it comes to being a creative influence in that Arsenal team. He's pulling all the strings. He's a real puppet master in there. We get that. But they still have creative influences in other areas. They still have people that needed to step up in those times that ultimately didn't. And we still know that they're a threat from set pieces. And this past weekend was a big reminder of that. Gabriel getting another goal from another set piece. Arsenal are still kings of set pieces and are worthy of that kind of title, if you like. That they can rely on in their back pocket. If their normal way of playing isn't exactly going to plan, they can rely on set pieces. And that is something that is going strong for them. That's something that they've got in their locker, in their arsenal as well, to obviously fall back on. Like I say, there is a lot of obstacles for this Arsenal side to overcome. There are a lot of challenges that lie in waiting for them. There are other areas as well that you can look at. The squad, the mental side of things, the physical side of things, the injury concerns, whether or not Arteta fully trusts his squad, which I questioned when obviously Arsenal were going through that dip in form. There are some areas there, but you know what? This past week or two, it's been a massive resurrection. It's been a massive bounce back for Arsenal, and it's been obviously something that they definitely needed. Can they put the pressure on the likes of Liverpool above them? Absolutely. Obviously, it's not in their hands, and I think that could also help Arsenal as well. The fact that the pressure's not going to be on them as much as the weeks go on. The pressure will just be on them to just do what they're doing and to just win their games. Ultimately, though, the pressure might be lifted a little bit. But yeah, like I say, if Arsenal can get to January, still within touching distance of Liverpool, maybe make a big signing in the winter. Maybe make a big splash in the transfer window. Buy a big striker, a big monster of a striker in front of goal. Maybe that could work. It could be an interesting second half to the season for the Gunners. It still could. It still could be on for them. And even if it's not going to be in the league, they've still got the Champions League to fall back on. They've still got FA Cups. They've still got the Carabao Cups. And you know what? The Carabao Cups and FA Cups may not exactly be what Arsenal fans want to hear. They may want the real major honours, or what is seen as the real major honours above the FA Cup, for example. But it's still trophies that could add to the collection, and it could be obviously signs that they could even have that building block in place to go on to bigger and better things. That could obviously be something that they work off, because this Arsenal side haven't won anything. I don't know who's still there from when they won the FA Cup in the first part of the season that Arteta was there for. I can't remember off the top of my head. But this Arsenal side that has had a lot of money thrown into it, a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of patience thrown into it as well, have obviously not won anything. And that is the big thing against Mikel Arteta right now. He's not actually won anything. Regardless of what it is, he's not won anything. So that obviously needs to change going forward. But this year, it could be a start. This year, it could be a start. They're still competing on all fronts. They're still within touching distance of certain things. They are still within a title race. Obviously, it's only December. But there's a lot there for Arsenal to focus on. There's a lot there for Arsenal to get their teeth into. And like I say, with everything now getting back on track seemingly for the Gunners, it could be a very interesting second half of the season. But look, those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, and everything else in between? Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, in the comment section below. Would love to hear what you have to say on all things Arsenal related. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. Thank you all for your continued or even brand new support. It's very much appreciated by me. So thank you all so much. That will never be taken for granted. Will always be appreciated. So thank you all so much for all of your support. Very much love that from you guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. Take it easy. See you all again soon.